The Central Freeway, just the word has people thinking of, oh, that freeway, parts of it torn down after Loma Prieta, more parts that need to be torn down. So there's a lot, right? And there's a stretch, though, that is still connected, 101 to Market Street. And our media partners at the San Francisco Standard have written an article on the fate of the controversial Central Freeway. They've discovered that public officials may not have done a required study on the impact of the removal of a previous section of 101. And that has an impact on what remains. Joining us live now to talk more about this is the Standard's neighborhood news editor, Alex Mullaney. Alex, nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Before we dive into what you found, Alex, quickly remind our viewers which sections of the Central Freeway remain today and which section is being debated for teardown.
So there's only one section of the Central Freeway remaining. It's a 1.2 mile stretch that connects the 101 to Market Street in Octavia. It's been there since 1959, and it is made of steel, unlike the stretch that had been torn down after the Loma Prieta earthquake.
Right. Okay, so you wrote about a new revolt by neighbors to try to get that chunk, the south of Market, North Mission sections of 101 knocked down. Why do they think this is necessary? What good do they think will come of it?
I think San Franciscans are becoming urban planners. They are seeing the built environment and they want to make changes. And when you go on Division Street and it's shaded and it feels uncomfortable, unlike much of the rest of the beautiful city, you kind of want to, push your elected leaders to make changes.
So what would be the downside to tearing down that section? Will there be longer travel time if the alternative was going through city streets?
You know, that's hard to say because the study just hasn't been done. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, neighbors told me studies indicated keeping the freeway would only save about 2 to 5 minutes in travel time for vehicle drivers. But what you would gain from tearing it down would be potentially new housing, parks, and then a tree-lined boulevard.
Mm-hmm. I suppose that developers are behind this as well, since they would get to build a lot more housing units if this were torn down?
I imagine they'd be behind it. In my reporting, I did not come across one developer that's interested. It is residents who...
Okay. So this, group, this neighborhood group that you are talking about, do they have a leg to stand on pursuing that fact that you mentioned in your article about how the city missed a study that was required, looking at the impact of previous teardown?
Well, the city is updating its general plan right now, and that's part of the city policy that calls for a comprehensive study. So they can, agitate to get the study done now. And with the Inflation Reduction Act, there's going to be more funding coming to San Francisco. Perhaps there's a chance they could get the dollars needed to get the study done after all these years.
I was just going to say, first there's the study and then the actual teardown. Who would pay for that, right? Is that federal money, state money? Does the city have money saved for it?
It's always piecemeal. There's always going to be local, state, and federal. One interesting factoid is potentially the land beneath the Central Freeway could be sold off to developers to pay for the work.
All right, so of course your article has come out and State Senator Scott Wiener has come out in support of tearing down that 1 mile section. So let me ask you, what is next, right? What's the timeline?
That's a great question. We'll see. To tear down the other half, there was, I believe, 3 to 4 ballot measures. So who knows? We have a lot of ballot initiatives coming this November. I know there's more coming. So it's really up to the neighborhood activists and the city leaders.
And how do they intend to keep the pressure up?
I understand they're going to go after supervisor candidates. I understand that getting Scott Wiener's approval was a big deal. I imagine the mayor is in their sights next.
All right, Alex Mullaney, thank you so much for coming on to talk about your article. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you can check out more of the San Francisco Standard's other original reporting on their website, sfstandard.com.